everyone. I'm Carol Carnes. Welcome to Living Consciously. Thanks for joining me again. You know, we're living in really interesting times, which of course was that ancient Chinese curse, may you live in interesting times. There's a lot of upheaval, and when there are opinions and ideas of various stripes flying around, we feel it. We are not immune to it, and it feels like turbulence. So you may be going through something now that you can't even name, or maybe you can, but you're going through something difficult, and that's what I want to talk about today. I'm calling this Be Still, Keep Moving. It sounds like a contradiction, a paradox, but it absolutely is a principle that in order to move through our challenges and come out the other end better for them, we have to start with a point of stillness within ourselves, a point of stability, if you will. And that would have to do with our spiritual perspective. It would have to do with what we see is our unseen support in the universe. And then we need to keep moving in the world. You know that old saying, this too shall pass? It's a really profound piece of wisdom. Everything does pass, everything moves, but what we do with it in the meantime becomes the quality of our life. It becomes how we're experiencing experience. So movement is essential, and you can't just sit back and wait for things to change. We need to be a participant in pushing through whatever we perceive to be an obstacle or a problem or a challenge, so that we can actually be co-creative with this infinite power that makes the world out of itself through the avenue of ideas, and not just victims of circumstance. So wouldn't you rather be a co-creator than a victim? Of course, everybody would. So sometimes, though, when things happen, we forget our spirituality. Have you ever done that? You know, you just got this thing wired, you understand the whole business, and then something happens in your world, and it's as if you never knew any of it, because the emotions get involved. Because perhaps that old child, the wounded kid inside gets into fear. There's all kinds of things that happen to us psychologically. And it's not unusual, but this is why we have groups, spiritual community, books, and techniques to keep us in that centered place so that we can keep moving. I thought I heard a really good example. I kind of turned it into something, but it's a true story. There was a couple walking on the beach, and they spotted something odd at the edge of the water, and they went over to examine it, and it just struck them as something they ought to pick up and take home. Well, what they had found was a piece of ambergris, which is something used in the fragrance industry. Now, here's what it is. It's the waste of whales. In other words, it's something the whale has regurgitated or eliminated, but it's become kind of petrified. It turned out the piece they found was worth $70,000. Now, I know of another couple who found one that was worth $300,000. All right, so here's my point. Let's assume that couple were having money troubles, and they really didn't know how they were going to pay their bills, and they were really feeling very challenged. But wisely, they kept moving. They got up and went for a walk on the beach. You see the correlation between what the universe is trying to do and our participation in it. In other words, if they hadn't been on the beach, they wouldn't have found that, and they would still have the money problem, probably. So this is a really interesting truth that you can observe in your life, that if we stay in harmony with what's trying to happen, then wonderful things seem to come to us. So what's trying to happen right now? Cooperation, synergy, peace, love, definitely a sense of our oneness. The Dalai Lama was asked, what's the most important thing for human beings to know at the end of the 20th century? And he said, the fact of our oneness. I use that quote a lot because it's really key to where we are as a people. We seem to be finding ways to separate ourselves rather than bring ourselves together. And the key, of course, is to keep moving in the direction of love, in the direction of wholeness. So Emerson, who I'm doing a class on Emerson right now, I adore the man. You know, he lived in the 1800s, brilliant. In his essay on compensation, he said there is a deep remedial force running through the universe. And he called it compensation. I'm going to read from his essay because this is one of the most powerful paragraphs I've ever read. And it really sums it up. He said, the compensations of calamity, you know, we're having trouble and going through it, are made apparent to the understanding also after long intervals of time. Have you ever looked back and said, you know, what you thought was the worst thing that ever happened to you turned out to be the best thing that ever happened, or the most significant? He said, the sure years reveal the deep remedial force that underlies all facts. The death of a dear friend, wife, brother, lover, which seemed nothing but privation, somewhat later assumes the aspect of a guide or genius. For it commonly operates revolutions in our way of life, terminates an epoch of infancy or of youth which was waiting to be closed, breaks up a wanted occupation or a household or style of living, and allows the formation of new ones more friendly to the growth of character. It permits or constrains the formation of new acquaintances and the reception of new influences that prove of the first importance over the next years. And the man or woman who would have remained a sunny garden flower with no room for its roots and too much sunshine for its head, by the falling of the walls and the neglect of the gardener, is made the banyan of the forest, yielding shade and fruit to wide neighborhoods of men. Well, what is he saying? Is that there is something deeply, pervasively intelligent running through your life and my life and all of nature throughout the universe, that things have a way of benefiting themselves. In other words, a setback can be a launching pad. You know, sometimes a business fails and we think, oh gosh, this is terrible. And then we realize that what we experienced during that loss or that setback actually prepared us for an opportunity that comes a little bit later. So a setback can be a launching pad. A loss can be a gain. It's sometimes difficult to see in the moment, but if we have that stillness inside of us, we can hold for the gift. In other words, we know that there is a definite gift here, and that life is never trying to hurt us. It's always trying to come through us and take us into higher levels of experience. A hard lesson can turn into wisdom. And like the whale's regurgitation, trash becomes treasure. I just find that fascinating. I never even heard about that until I read that article the other day. Imagine what's all around us that we don't know about and that we can't see and that we think is junk and actually could be the jewel that we've been seeking without even knowing it was there. So gratitude helps us stay current. I'm going to ask you to repeat something out loud just to see how it feels. I am grateful for everything in my life up until now. I am grateful for everything in my life up until now. I welcome new ideas. I welcome new opportunities and new ways of living. I am available to the discovery of the treasure right where I am. You see, if we're waiting for something to happen, we want to be in gratitude for what is, which gives it room to flow, room to move. If we're moving within ourselves, in our mind and physically, if we're moving, we're participating in the movement and the flow of life. So things move out so that other things can move in. You know that's true. I want to read you, I brought my little book today, The Way In, which is a compilation of daily essays that I think you'll find useful. I'll tell you later how to buy it. But this one is about the difference between sadness and despair. There is a big difference. Sadness in the short term can be positive. It's the recognition of the temporariness of all life. And then, we feel kind of sad that things change. I don't know that the caterpillar feels sad when it becomes a butterfly, but life is like that. There's always something trying to come through, and in order for that to happen, what was there has to fade away. Whether it's an idea, a perception, an attachment to a person, Sadness is the human response to irrevocable change, such as death. It's just a part of life. We have to accept it. It gives us pause to reflect on the preciousness of each moment. Despair is something else altogether. Despair pulls us down below sadness into the mire of hopelessness, and there's just nothing worse for a human being to feel than hopeless. You got to feel that, yes, I can. You've got to feel this. And even if it's a little bit tinged with anger or righteous indignation, I'm not putting up with this. Remember that movie Network? I'm not putting up with this any longer. Well, we need a little bit of that, or we slip into despair when we read the news, look what's going on in the world. I was challenged recently by a news item. I'm not even going to repeat it. I don't want to put the image in your mind, but it was so horrific. It was such an act of pure evil against a child that I actually, for a few minutes, thought, there's something wrong with us. What's wrong with humanity that anyone would even think of doing something like that? And all my life, I've been able to see through the wounded self that does such things. I've never actually thought of any person as an evil human being, but rather wounded. And in this case, I wasn't able to see it for a minute. I actually felt despair for about 5 minutes. Fortunately, I'm a cockeyed optimist, so I got myself back on track. But anyone can run up against this in this world. We want to guard against despair. So despair cannot enter the mind of the one who deeply understands that this physical realm is only a fraction of the reality of our being. Tip of the iceberg, as they say. All right, so come back in a few minutes. We're going to take a little break. We've got some wonderful sponsors, and I'm really grateful for them to allow us to be on the air like this. And so listen to what they have to say. It's a message for you. And when we come back, I'm going to talk some more about how we can elevate our level of living by changing how we perceive what's happening. Okay? We'll be right back.
Attention homeowners, apartment complexes and business parks and homeowners associations. Now is the best time to make your property beautiful again. Since 1967, Gonzalez Landscaping has offered beautiful professional landscaping services to all of southern New Mexico. Our team has been designing and installing landscapes for over 47 years. Where quality is an obsession, Gonzalez Landscaping is locally owned and operated. We are licensed commercial, residential specialists dedicated to providing reliable and quality service. We offer residential and commercial landscaping design, full lawn, tree and shrub care, with annuals and perennials, tree and palm trimming, spring and fall cleanups, mulching and more. Let us do the work at prices you can afford. We service all of Las Cruces. We are New Mexico's premier commercial landscaping and residential landscaping company. Visit us online at gonzalesnursery.com or call us for a free estimate. 575-382-7272.
Welcome to La Buena Vida Women's Club, located away from the crowds but close to home. Come in throughout the day for Jazzercise, the world's dance fitness leader for nearly 40 years. Treat yourself to a relaxing massage, or unwind in the lounge area or outside on the balcony with friends. La Buena Vida Women's Club, located and designed with women in mind. For information, call Diane at 650-9721.
Well, we're back, thanks to our sponsors. Well, we've been talking this morning about kind of a paradox between being still inside and active and participatory in the world. And both of them are absolutely necessary. It's a spiritual discipline to sit quietly in meditation, but we're not meant to stay there all day long. I have my little book here that I've been reading from, and it's about that. We ended the last segment talking about the difference between sadness and despair. Sadness is normal. You know, it's hard to be human. And I believe that's what all the great teachers were trying to help us do, is be better humans. And one of the elements of the experience of being human is sadness. The awareness that nothing stays the same, that everything is temporary. Even yourself, you know, you started off, you were this big, and now you're a whole lot bigger. And it was a constant transformation. I talked about that a couple of weeks ago. But so sadness is normal, but we're meant to mark the occasion, perhaps with respect and solemnity, if it's someone moving on, celebrate their life. But then we move on. And we have to keep moving. Movement is essential. You know, the body will die if it isn't constantly moving. Circulation, oxygen through the blood, everything that's going on inside of us is movement. It's a beautiful dance of consciousness, really. So part of being human, as I said, is sadness. But if we keep moving into self-expression from a place of stillness, we won't slip into despair over the changes that are inevitable in life. You know, the unhappiest people I know are the ones that are constantly resisting change. And so I had the most wonderful epiphany this morning as I turned on my computer, got on a Word document to write my daily blog, and I noticed something I never noticed before. It said, "Tell me what you want to do." I went, huh? Tell me what you want to do. Well, of course, it's part of the Word doc stuff, but I took it metaphysically and spiritually as the universe speaking to me. Now, it didn't say, tell me what you want me to do for you. It said, tell me what you want to do. That's the key. That's what we're moving into. So if we have a heart's desire for anything, be it world peace or more money in our bank account, we've got to move in that direction by saying, this is what I want to do. I want to be more prosperous. I want to be more loving. I want to be kinder. I want to be more compassionate. I want to be more successful. I want to be more of a player in the world. So we are moving in that direction. You cannot stay in meditation all day. You come out and you get busy moving in the direction of what you want to do. And the universe has a way of supporting that. It's almost magical. You know, when you talk to people who've never heard this, they think you're nuts. But the fact is, you can prove it. There's something responsive in this universe. As Emerson said, there is a deep remedial force in action all the time, attempting to take whatever is and making it better, expanding it, evolving it, growing it, becoming more of itself. But we have to participate. So our stillness is something we walk around in. See, that's the key. It's not like, oh, I'm never going to leave my bedroom. Nothing will happen. But it's taken that sense of stability with us out into action. So let's say you're having prosperity problems. You don't have enough money. Do not wait for the economy to change. Do not wait for some magical windfall. You get out there and start acting as though you're prosperous. And by that I mean, I'm not saying just recklessly throw your money around. I'm saying though, but be conscious of entering into the law of circulation. And that might mean, maybe you have a spiritual community like mine you like to give to. So give something to them, or to a person in need, or a shelter, or donate your time and go to a food kitchen and help serve. Point being, prosperity isn't just about money. Prosperity is about activity. And prosperity is about movement and circulation. So get yourself out there, keep moving, take that walk on the beach. You don't know what you're going to find. You never know, right? But you can't withhold and prosper. It just doesn't work. And that's the same thing with love or anything else. So we don't want to withhold the possibility from ourselves by refusing to identify what it is we want to do in life. Say what it is you want to do. You know, your mind is precious. It's something no one can tamper with unless you let them. You know, Viktor Frankl knew that, the great Swiss psychiatrist who was in the concentration camps. He might have been German, I could be wrong about that. Anyway, he was in the concentration camps, and he said, they can do anything they want to my body, but they can't take my mind. And he survived. And to know that who we are is something beyond this physical body, that it is something that is one with that deep remedial force, something that's one with the creative intelligence of the universe, is to live life on a very different level. So it's not about a waiting game, it's about being part of the answer. You know, they used to say in the 60s, you're either part of the problem or you're part of the solution. Well, that's true if you're in your own experience, for your own life. Things don't happen to us, they come through us, by means of us, and they become seen by us in our own field that we've generated. So it's like we throw out a net before us and walk into it. It reminds me of that wonderful old, I think it was Hopi, that said, you know, instead of clinging to the side of the river, push off and get into the flow. Now look around and see who's in there with you. It'll be a whole new cast of characters. There will be change. And what you left behind you might perceive as loss, but no, it's just part of the new taking hold. The old must either be transformed, because it can go with you if it's transformed, or let go of. That's the way it is. It's a constant movement forward. So everyone has moments of perceived loss and reasons to feel sad. But those of us who have spiritual perception will feel deeply, then move on. I want to, blow holes in the fallacy that spirituality takes away your emotions. It takes away false emotions and gives rise to real feeling. Real, authentic, spiritual feeling is a heightened sense of the temporariness of life and the perfection in the moment, and the realization that what you are right now and what you're looking at and with, you'll never see quite the same way again. So this moment is everything, and it's another one and another one and another one, so that there's no future out there. There's a continuation of consciousness, yours and mine. So life is ever-changing in the temporary and deserves to be celebrated, marked, and remembered. On other levels of awareness, we can perceive the ongoingness of our spirit and feel safe and intact no matter what form it takes. That's what we're talking about, the stillness part, is that part of our daily taking care of ourselves is to have some time of silence and time of non-activity, times where we're just being. Very, very, very important. And then we go out and we are in the world of doing, which is the part most people like best. But when you're facing something, and I know some of you are, I want you to trust that there's something greater trying to happen. Tell the universe what you want to do. And then get busy doing some version of it, even tiny baby steps. It's all important. It all leads you somewhere. But do not sit home and wait for opportunity to knock on your door. It's not coming that direction. It's coming this direction. You know, you can learn more about this teaching by visiting me at the Mesilla Valley Center for Spiritual Living. They're my website, and I write a daily Living Consciously that's posted on my websites. And you can come and see us on Sunday. You know, we do a wonderful alternative Sunday morning experience. It's very stripped down, kind of secular, but still has that spiritual sense to it. We meditate, we do spiritual mind treatment, I do, and I do a talk, and then you can ask questions. That's at 10:30 a.m. at the Mesilla Community Center on Calle de Santiago in Mesilla. Lovely spot. Come and join us there. And also on Tuesday nights from 6 to 6:30, we do a meditation, a group meditation, and close with the spiritual mind treatment, which is a modern version of prayer. And it's very beneficial. If you're having trouble meditating, that's a good place to come on Tuesday night. And we'll give you some instruction if you need it. Okay, so you go out and get moving, be still and keep moving, and have a wonderful time living your life, knowing the best and participating. And if you want to support my work, you can make a donation via PayPal on the website that's on the screen right now. We really appreciate it. Okay, hope to see you soon. In the meantime, live consciously.